We're recording now.
Yeah, you want to
See
make
what I
sure
said?
you have the
You get
recording
these
on.
messages
Yes.
like I'm not seeing them all. So here we go.
As you're talking about the challenges of running an event online, right? And you're right. In when you're running an event in person, there are things that are happening all over the place, fires happening. It's here on virtual, but you still have to, you can only have your attention in one place. So anyway, I'm Whitney Wiley and I'm with Shifting into Action, and I help leaders create workplaces and cultures that their people love to work in. And my thing is about helping leaders understand who they are so they can lead better. When you lead better, you create an environment that people want to be a part of. And so I am super excited about today and the opportunity to have joined Linda on this journey. My role was to sort of be a liaison for the speakers so that Linda could be free to do other things. And I've had a blast getting to know everyone, and I'm looking forward to everyone's presentation and bringing great value to the audience.
Awesome. Thank you, Whitney. It's interesting. Whitney and I actually just met maybe a few months ago, and we met through a collaboration book. I love collaboration books. I've been in several, and I have written my own. Yep. So we're Women Action. Yep. There we go. We got One Habit for Entrepreneurial Success. We have One Habit for Women Action Takers. There's a lot of One Habit books. If you're interested in being in one of those, just go to onehabit.com and check it out and see some of the other books that they have coming up. But I met Whitney through that because Whitney, what she does is in the book, she also interviews people who are in the books. And that's how I actually met Whitney. And then I reached out and I was like, hey, I'm doing this summit. I'm looking for people who want to be part of the committee with me. And Whitney was one of them that reached out. So thank you so much. I'm blessed and honored to have you on the team. You're absolutely amazing. And, you get to know people really well when you're working behind the scenes on an event like this. So it's really great to see, when we reach out and we're looking for help, again, I'm going through this process of building teams. I want to grow my business. I want to be able to get out there into more audiences. So that means I'm stretching myself as well. So I'm super excited about this summit and what we're going to be learning about, creating teams in order to grow our own businesses. And I will share with you at the very beginning, I'm in my house right now, like many of us are at home. How many of you are at home? Okay, so almost all of us are at home. So I have 2 dogs that periodically will bark, and I'll be muting myself if I'm not talking. If I'm talking, like right now, they're walking around. And then I have 1 husband. And so husband will want to make lunch at some point, and husband will want to make dinner at some point, but I'm going to be here, doing this event, right? So there'll be plenty of times that I'll have to mute myself and what have you, or like get up and go to the restroom. If you need to get up and go to the restroom, just get up and go to the restroom, go do whatever you need to do. And if you've bought the All Access Pass, the recordings of this will be available to you forever. If you didn't buy the All Access Pass, the recordings will be available inside the Women Action Takers Facebook group, Women Action Takers Network group, and those will be available for 48 hours after the event is done. So with that said, I want to introduce our next, so we have 2 of our people who are on the committee, Luann Wary. So Luann, go ahead and mute yourself. You're a little bit sideways there, Luann. So everybody turn your head to see Luann. There we go.
So I'm Luann Wary, and I met Linda, 5-6 years ago. And she's helped me with facing my fears about videoing, taping myself for my business and a bunch of other stuff. And I just really, love networking when I get a chance to do it. And this was a great way around everything that I do elsewise. So I just really appreciate you putting this on.
Well, thanks for being part of the committee. And I really appreciate you. I have known Luann, it's about 5 or 6 years or so, but Luann is going to be our timekeeper for the morning session. And I think she's going to be able to come back a little bit later as well and come back. So how this works is just so you know, so Veronica, you're our first speaker today, which, we'll be bringing you up in a little bit. But Luann has a yellow card, and the yellow card is going to tell us that you have 5 minutes left. Now, I'll be interviewing Veronica, so Luann will be telling us that we have 5 minutes left, and then she'll do a red card when our time is up, which means we're going to like wrap it up. But I want to make sure during that last 5 minutes or so that you have an opportunity to share with everybody, more of like what you do, as well as what were your free offers that you're offering to everybody, because we have lots of amazing gifts. We have over $1,500 in free gifts for everybody who registered for the event. And then the all access pass is worth over $4,300. So if you didn't get your all access pass yet, please go ahead and get that. And you can go again to watsummit.com to get that all access pass. It's time for the dogs to start moving around, which means I get a little antsy here. So, but I move right out of that. And here I go. I'm ready to go. So we are at 8:15, and I have my schedule here to make sure I stay on track. I wanted to just really quickly introduce our nonprofit partner, who is Stella Labs. And Stella Labs is a nonprofit that a premier for female business accelerator. So what they do is their mission is to equip and propel female founders to successfully plan, launch, and scale their original businesses, thus positively impacting their local, national, and global economies. Stella Labs uses interactive labs, strategy sessions, intensives, and accountability groups, and more to offer sustained support that allows women-led businesses to flourish. Stella Labs has empowered more than 150 female founders to launch their startups and has helped raise more than $10 million in angel funds. The Women Action Takers were proudly donating 25% of the net proceeds of this event to Stella Labs. So I want to thank you all for participating in that. If you'd like to make a donation to Stella Labs, separately aside from Women Action Takers, you just go to stellalabs.org and go ahead and make a donation over there. And I had planned on introducing you to the founder of Stella Labs, but she wasn't able to make it today. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next portion of our event, which is we're going to introduce Veronica Bahn. And we do I tell things or not? Yes, I'm going to tell things. Why not? Because part of putting on a summit, again, part of the challenge is, especially when we're not meeting in person, is, some things happen the way you plan and some things don't. Well, unfortunately, and I just want to send prayers out to our MC, she contracted COVID virus. And, she let me know just, yesterday, she was really hoping that she was going to be able to show up. So I want you, please, send warm wishes, prayers, whatever it is that you do to send positive vibes to somebody. So I'm going to be your MC for today because I've got all the notes and I didn't give them to anybody else. So there we go. We're 8:16. We're doing great, Veronica. I'm super excited about this. So are you ready to kick off this phenomenal day? We're starting Power Packed, coming out of the gate with none other than Reiki Master Teacher, marketer, and business leadership coach, Veronica Bahn. Veronica is passionate about co-creating a fearless action plan for women that electrifies their purpose and guides them from their heart to reach the optimum level of their personal, business, and financial success. She's here with me, and she's going to be sharing the importance of building trust, not only in yourself, but with others. And so hold on to your hat for this life-changing fun to begin. And Luann, give us, let's see, we've got 35 minutes on the clock. So at 30 minutes, go ahead and show us the yellow card. Again, I like to stay on time. So welcome, Veronica. I'm really excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Linda. Hi, Women Action Takers. Welcome to my creation station here in Arizona.
Creation station. I like that. So first of all, why a creation station and what is this all about?
Well, this is where my husband and I make our dreams come true, and other clients that we serve dreams come true. And we called it our creation station because when we're walking up the stairs coming into this space, it's game on and we're all in.
Awesome. I love it. Now let's talk about trust. So trust is something that I myself, I had a hard time with trusting people. And, I have my own reasons, through my childhood that caused me to not trust people, at the beginning of my life. And I've learned to trust people. And it's an interesting process of going through that. So I want to talk about trust in relation to teams. So as far as that goes, I want you to share with us, how do we learn to trust others so that we can, create this cohesive team that's going to help us to grow our business? Because trust is extremely important in business.
I agree. And especially right now in this new, better world we're living in and we're adapting through, it's imperative to create that community. And I really think that everybody here would agree that the need for community is stronger than ever, and building our tribes and those that just support us as we're growing our business, but then we can turn around and support as well. And for me, it came from just finding what was important to me, where I could be in alignment, so that as I was attracting and being that magnet for others to come into my space, I was very clear on what I was looking for, but more importantly, who I was, so that the right people would come into my circle. And yes, I often have conversations where that original blueprint, that younger version of ourselves going through life, maybe caused us to put up some walls and barriers that didn't allow us to come into that space where we could trust that community. But it's very important to really know what your values are and how they show up. And so I tell everybody to write down your top 3 values of the things that are most important to you, and not specifically in business, but just in life. And for a long time, my family was always first. And then I created a space for friends and then integrity, like the value, that principle of integrity. But as I've gone through my entrepreneurial journey, I realized that self has to be first. So putting yourself first, it's okay to be selfish, because when you are in that space, you know who you are and you can operate from your heart, and then you show up for your family in a positive space, and you show up in your tribe, and you show up in your community. And it's a beautiful thing to be in that space. It's so important.
So how does somebody get to that point of trusting themselves first?
Well, everybody, the conversations that I have seem to be a little bit different. But the bottom line is, when you can look yourself in the mirror and have a conversation with who you are, and look yourself in the eyes and just talk to yourself, you begin to discover who that is and what makes your light turn on. And that's not always easy for me. I do a lot of meditation. I think that it's important, part of my daily practice in how I show up in the world. And building trust also means that you have to be in action, showing others what you're doing. You can't just talk the talk, right? You have to walk the talk. You have to walk it in your business. You have to walk it in your life, and be authentic in how you show up in that space. So for me, developing that, putting myself first, I take my time in the morning. Everybody knows that's me time. That's when I'm putting my best self forward, and really understanding who that is. And then I just started writing. I have a book I'm writing and a book I'm reading, and it shows up in different steps on how I practice self-care. And what's amazing in that space as an entrepreneur, and I know we're all here growing and we're wanting to reach clients, and we're wanting to build a team around us. When you're all doing these same things together, it is amazing what you can co-create in that collaboration space. And it is even more amazing of who you attract into your world. So you have to get self first, right? Because in order to lead others, you first have to lead yourself. And that is an intricate part of building relationships.
That's so true, because I know that I'm 57 years old. I'm no spring chicken, and I'm not getting any younger. We're all getting older, and it took me until I was about 51 years old to trust myself. And what's interesting about that is I wrote down a note here, and that was because you mentioned authentic. Authenticity seems to kind of like be a buzzword now. Like everybody's
I know,
throwing,
right?
yeah. And it's, but the thing is that it's a real word. It really means something. So what I would like to have you share about, because I think that this is very important, in trust, whether it's in yourself or others, is what is the difference between authenticity and transparency? And how do you use those in order to, because I believe that in order for others, for me to trust others, I have to be able to trust myself, right? Because you just mentioned that trust in self,
Right.
but then they need to be able to trust me. So how do you, you're sharing the two between authenticity and transparency? You want to share like your thoughts on that, the difference between the two?
Well, that's a great question. And I think it just comes from being the first person to say, I don't know, and I don't have the answer. And how you show up right now, we're not networking in person. We're not able to run around to all these great events and be live in summits. We're having to show up on social media and in this virtual space. And people are watching what you do, and they're watching you on your social media channels. They're watching you on your professional channels. They're watching how you show up, right? You're just looking to be visible. So whether it's your Facebook personal page or your business page or Instagram or some other space where your clients and your tribe is looking for you, right? That person who says, they're my person, I want to be in their space. How do you show up there? What does that mean to you? Are you really walking the walk in what you're sharing and speaking? Many people here, everyone here has a product or service that they are peddling, right? That you're sharing, you're talking about, that you're pitching. But who are you when you're not pitching? And what does that look like? Are you having fun with your family? Are you sharing the behind the scenes that is not always perfect? I mean, running up here today, I had another top on. I had my coffee. I was getting all set. I sat down and all over me, I had coffee everywhere. And I'm like, okay, I have 1 minute to either find something quick or I'm going on the way I am right now with life happening, because that's just how people want to connect with real. And if you show up on your social media channels, if you show up with your tribe, if you let them know, hey, I don't have the answer, but I will get it for you, and together we will come up with a solution. In order to be that expert, that finish line is always moving out in front of you. We are constantly shifting, and building relationships means that you are willing to learn, you are willing to grow, you are willing to stub your toe, you're willing to fall, and you're not afraid to show your community that you are growing too. You might be steps ahead of where somebody wants to be, but you can help them get there because you've lived it. And I think that's how we show up in a transparency, in an authentic space. And as we're leading and helping others, as we're sharing the products and services that we've learned to cultivate that come from our heart in how we show up in our businesses.
So what would you say is a point of too much transparency? Because we don't want to lose the trust of others, right? So,
right.
like once we've gained trust, now because losing trust can happen quickly. Sometimes gaining the trust takes longer, and losing it is pretty fast. It can happen that way,
right?
Yeah,
instantaneously.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, at what point do you like draw the line, and you're like, okay, I shouldn't share about, like, I have a tendency maybe to overshare, but that's who I am, and I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
And if I lose some people along the way, I'm okay with that too, because I need to be true to me, right? So that's the truth to yourself and trust in yourself.
Sure.
So, but what is the point of, like, maybe I should be drawing the line and I'm not yet. And so maybe I'm at that point where I need to figure out where that line is. So I want to hear from you on that.
Well, I think it depends on where your growth is in your business. If you find that you're not growing and you're not reaching the goals that you've achieved or you set out for yourself, take a step back and look at how you're showing up and why. And then ask your trusted advisors around you. And if you don't have strategic partners to kind of call you out and say, hey, what's going on here? And maybe you need to tweak your messaging. And I'm all over social media. I coach and teach in that space. Be that bright light, right? But I show up differently in every space because I know my audience. So the very first thing we have to know in business is who we're talking to. right? What that client journey looks like. And as we're building our teams, asking our teams the same question. Are you in alignment with me? Before I partner with anybody, I check out their social media pages. I pay attention to who they are. I'll go listen to a podcast they're on, or I'll find them on LinkedIn. I want to know that what they're saying to me is actually how they're showing up. And that is really you have to come to your own senses on who you are and how you want to show up, how you're talking to your community. Every person has to evaluate that for themselves. I can't tell you what to say, what not to say. The line for you that you might cross might be different from me, right? It depends on who we're talking to and what our business, what our products or services are. People would say, don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics, right? Like there's a lot of don't do's. But if you are in that space and that's your expertise and that's who you are and you come from a passionate place and people fall off your radar, but that's who you are, then why second guess yourself?
That's good. And that comes back to that trusting yourself, right? Trusting yourself to, like we have one of our speakers later today. She's going to be talking about boundaries and like knowing where to hold them. And I got that song, Kenny Rogers, know where to hold them and know when to fold them, right? So there's sometimes we have to like know when to speak and when not to speak. And so let me ask this question, because you said, showing up differently, you show up differently in different, like in different networking events or what have you, or different situations based on who the audience is. So the question I have for you related to that is, are you showing up still as you, but just differently? And if you're still showing up as you, but differently, how do you gauge, again, where do you draw that line?
Well, I'm very, I think you have to be, I believe right now, especially, you have to be customer centric. So in my VIP groups, I have multiple streams of income. So I have multiple groups that I'm involved in, not just that I manage personally through social media channels, but also that I have been invited into. Those are all different audiences. So I'm not necessarily putting on a mask, but I know the different hats that I'm wearing and who I'm talking to. So the way that I express to the people that I'm coaching and sharing is always be yourself, but know the audience you're talking to. And are you speaking from your heart or are you speaking from your gut? I believe that one of those two places, we all know how we're showing up and how to float through these times and this environment. And being very cognizant of everything that's also going around us in the news and being sensitive to that. So I'm sensitive to the groups and the audiences that I'm in. I'm just me. I don't have to check myself at the door before I walk in, or my husband say, okay, we're going into this group, or a friend saying, maybe we shouldn't talk about that in this space. But a lot of people don't understand the difference. So I'm glad you brought that up. And I think that the most important piece that everybody can gain from this segment of being interviewed is be real, be customer centric, use your marketing dollars to create relationships, to cultivate them, utilize snail mail, right? Send a note, drop flowers, be the customers that you have, treat them right, treat them well while you're looking for new ones. Just love on the people that have said yes to you, that are part of your community, that are part of your tribe, and then support others in that space as well. This is a little segue off what you asked of how I show up in different places. If I'm in a business group and multiple people are selling a product or a service, I find a way to support them in that space. If I'm in a group where it's specific to customers, I know what they're looking for. I'll show up for them in that space. I will give them value. That is not just me pulling something out of a hat that says, this is what you should be using, wearing, doing, sharing. No, I'm creating value in that space for them that comes from other resources. And it's so powerful when you do that, because then it makes it not all about you as well. So you have to be confident enough to know that you can partner with other people that are in your same field, in your same genre, in your same space, and cultivate those relationships and share them with your tribe, share them with your community, because it's not one size fits all. You don't show up the same every day. And if you're having, you know what, if you're having a bad day, be real and say, hey, I'm having a bad day today, and maybe I need a little cheering up, and it's okay. So I think that, to clarify what I mean, showing up differently, that is what I meant. Is that a little more clear?
Oh yeah, it was clear to me. I just, like to dive a little bit deeper sometimes, into the questions.
That was a good question.
Thank you. Thank you. It's interesting because, building that trust again, because we're talking about building trust in yourself and in others. And so I want to know, like, from your perspective, how much does, not only showing up, because you keep mentioning about like how you show up, how you show up, how you show up, but what about the consistency? And what are the things that will help us to build those relationships that are going to create the trust even stronger? Because, building trust it can take time again, but we can also short circuit it. And so I'd love to hear your perspective on because sometimes it can take months to build trust, but let's talk about the fast. Like, I want to build trust fast. How can we make that happen fast?
Okay, let's just speed through this right now.
Because we're action takers.
We are action takers. How many of you are on social media? Okay. How many of you have a client list? Okay. How many of you take the time every day when Facebook tells you it's somebody's birthday and you don't just write on their timeline, you sing them a song on Facebook Messenger, you reach out to them and talk on voice memo. Hey, Linda, happy birthday. I know we're connected on Facebook. I just wanted you to know I was thinking about you today. How many have done that in the last 2 months? That is the fastest way you are going to grow a community and grow a relationship. How many people have clients who purchased from you a product or a service, stumble over the words, and you've sent them a thank you gift? You've sent them a thank you card, and not necessarily something with your logo on it, just something from your heart that's tangible. Raise your hand. You see where I'm getting at here?
Yeah.
The building relationship quickly comes from you reaching out. And yes, does it take a little extra time? Do you have to put 15, 20, 30 minutes in a day on reaching out to your clients, your customers? Yes. How many of you have asked those wonderful clients and customers of yours to simply do a referral or review for you, or a referral post? Nothing's better than referral marketing. How many of you utilize the people who you've loved on to share with their community how you change their life, how you change their perspective, how you change how they feel? Top 3 ways to grow relationships is to provide your best nugget first on social media when you're talking. Live video, super important. YouTube channel, a voice message, audio message to somebody. Be in their world from a space that comes from your heart. Get out of your head. And I know that is hard for many people. But when you come from here, especially in this day and age we're living in this new, better world that doesn't look like we're shifting out of it any sooner, how else are people going to know who you are if you don't connect with them on a one level below? Hey, you want to be my friend on Facebook? And please don't avoid the friend request. And 5 seconds later, they're on your list. You're emailing them to come like your business page. You're sending them a quick message. Come over here, join me here. Have you heard about this? Build a relationship. It takes 5 seconds to drop into somebody's world and say, I'm thinking about you today, and showing an act of kindness. That costs nothing.
That's true. And because, time is a very valuable resource that we have. And when we take the time to give to others, then they see the value, like they see themselves as value as well. It's funny that you mentioned the singing the Facebook, singing happy birthday, because for those who don't know, for 2 years, 2016 and 2017, I sang happy birthday to every single one of my Facebook friends. I did that for 2 years. Was I one of the, well, what's funny about it is when I first started that, I had about, I don't know, maybe 1,200 Facebook friends. By the end of those 2 years, I got up to my 5,000 because people were really like, oh, wow, this lady's really awesome. She sings happy birthday. Now talk about commitment, right? Talk about commitment and talk about consistency for 2 years. I did not miss a day for 2 years. My husband's like, really? We got to do this again, And so I did it for 2 years. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because I've been considering and contemplating doing it again. So I took 2 years off because I really loved it. It was a lot of fun. So, but it is a big commitment. So those trust factors, right? So that's something that people got to see consistently. She's known as the happy birthday. A lot of people call me the happy birthday lady. Even I haven't done it in 2 years and people still call me the happy birthday lady. See, so that built some kind of, in their mind, a consistency. So it's not always about your business, but it's about who you are. And we're going to be talking about branding later. We'll be having Wendy and Sarah will be talking about branding. And then she's got her, hello, sunshine. Like, here I am, sunshine also. It's like I have an immediate connection because she has the branding behind her, right? So it's that right there. Just something so simple as that, her having hello, sunshine. When I first saw that, I smiled because I related to it. That right there is one way to build trust. You think about like car commercials or like maybe insurance commercials. There's so many commercials out there that they instantly build trust because they can do it in 30 seconds. It doesn't have to take months. We can short circuit. And I love some of the tips that you gave on building those trusts, through social media. This is what we have right now. And what did you call it? You didn't call it the new normal. What did you call it? The new better normal?
The new better.
The new better normal. I love that because it just gives a happier perspective on what we're going through right now. One thing I like about this is, the pandemic, not that I like the pandemic, but I always looking at the positives of it. Like what's something I can take away in the positive? I have an opportunity to meet people from all over the world that I might not otherwise have met because maybe they wouldn't have gone on Zoom.
Right.
I've been on Zoom for 6 years. I've been doing my thing on Zoom for 6 years, but now everybody's doing it because we have to, because it's just the way we have to communicate with each other. So I want to give us, so we have just a few minutes left. So what I'd love for you to do is, give us what's your top 3 tips for us to build trust in the new, better normal, new, better normal.
Well, one thing that I teach my clients is first, as you're cultivating your community, find people that are in alignment with you. If you don't know what your values are in your business, how you want to show up, what your strategy is, what your mission statement is, take some time this weekend. I challenge you to figure that out and write it down and then share it with your team. And when you're interviewing people to join your team, when you're looking for strategic partners and power partners, ask them how they show up, what matters to them, and see where you're aligned. Second, be willing to bless and release. If you're not in alignment, it's okay to say, I don't think that we are a good fit. Be prepared to acknowledge yourself and understand and either trust your heart or your gut when something's not right, and listen to that space, not your head. Third, create a customer-centric approach to your business. Send a thank you card, send a card, send a voice memo, send a text. Don't spam. Be real. Check in with people in your community. Don't just email blast them and put them on your list and they're getting 5 and 6 and 7 emails from you a week or a day, hoping that one of them eventually sticks because they've seen it 20 times, 5 times, 50 times. make sure that the communities that you're growing and the tribe that you're surrounding yourself are there because you're showing up in a consistent way. You're providing value and you're being so visible you can't be ignored. And that's where the relationships will begin to build. That's where you'll find your best clients. And we all know that our best clients and our best teams, the people that are aligned with us, is where we all grow together. And we can all make a million dreams come true and help each other lift economies, lift up women, and lift the world. And I really love that Stilla Labs is part of your charity project.
That's awesome. I love that. And so as you were saying that, how many of you did what I just did? I looked at my emails to see, how many emails I sent out today. But this was about the summit. So I don't know. I don't usually send a whole lot of emails. I try not to do that, as well. But I do have a question. So the stalking. So here's what I wrote. I write down these weird notes. I'm like, what did I mean when I wrote that note down? So my note that I put was stalking versus reviewing. That's not the actual question. The question was, you mentioned that, when you're building a team, go like look at their social media, see what they're posting, see what they're all about, because we can see, I'm going to give a great example here, which is, it's not about business, but it's a great example. My brother was looking for somebody. So he was on like match.com or something like that. And this person had this like amazing best foot forward. Right. And then, so he started to look at the social media and everything looked amazing. So he asked me, so what do you think about her like this? And so I went and I did a little more research than he did. And I found that there was a point, like 6 months ago, for example, was the cutoff point where this person turned from negative person to extremely like God-loving, amazing person. It was like, boom, 6 months. And my brother didn't go that far back. So I saw who the person was. And this person, I don't know if they made a shift in their life at that point. It could have been. Or if they just said, you know what, I want to have a better person find me. And so I'm going to start shifting my Facebook. So my question here is, was I stalking or was I reviewing? At what point do you just like trust that the person is going to be someone you can actually trust? And we're talking about business. We're talking about business. This isn't
right, but
about
if
love.
If it feels wrong, don't do it. We all have gut instincts about people. And and it's okay to ask, when somebody refers somebody to you, that's a powerful thing. So referrals are always great because I'm trusting who they're coming from. I don't take a lot of time looking at people's social media going 6 months back. I think it depends on what type of business you have, what you're cultivating, the culture that you're creating, what that looks like for you. Everybody has to evaluate that for themselves. That's what makes us unique in how we show up in our businesses. It's different for everybody. So as you're growing on social media, as you're building relationships here virtually, understanding first who you are and what your principles are, what your values are, how you're in alignment, you're going to attract the right people to you. Trust me, you will. I promise. It's like math. It just works.
You say it's just like math?
Yeah, I did say it's just like math.
Okay, so what I heard out of that is I was stalking, but it was from my brothers. Because I just felt there was the thing. I had a gut instinct.
You followed it.
And I had to find it because I felt like, because I felt like there was a surface thing and I felt like there was something underlying. And so I went to search for it and I found it. He didn't believe me, but it's okay. But I digress.
Well, at that point, it was out of your hands. So you guys,
exactly.
Give yourself a little bit of slack. Provide grace in your life, right?
Yeah.
Business owners forget to do that. We forget to give ourselves grace.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I have a lot of things going through my mind right now. Okay, so we're getting ready to wrap it up, and I want you to have an opportunity to share because see, we got the red card. It just came out.
Red card.
Yeah, that was actually supposed to be the yellow card, I think. So we're going to go with it's the yellow card. So we've got 5 more minutes. So we're going to wrap up here. But Veronica, I wanted you to share, because you do have some free gifts that you're offering. So I would love for you to share that and then share how everybody can get in contact with you. And of course, you'll put that in the chat as well, how everybody can get in contact with you.
Yeah, I put that up at the very beginning. And thank you so much, Linda, for this opportunity today. I was nervous coming on, like I always am, getting butterflies. And I had a chat with my husband, and he just said, just go be you, just go share what's from your heart, and you'll know exactly what to say to your audience. So thank you, Eddie, for the time today. And thank you, Linda. You can reach me on Facebook as the Side Hustle Expert. Veronica Bahn is how you can find me. My free gift is the first 10 people who sign up for the Reiki session to reduce anxiety and stress. In the next 2 weeks, I think, Linda, you have that link somewhere. We can put that in the chat. I am doing remote Reiki sessions. I've been a Reiki master for a while. It's very powerful. I would love to offer that as a service, free service, 30-minute session. Also, I have my Facebook bootcamp, which is very popular. I keep it to a limited group because I would rather create an intimate community. And you can find that at sidehustleexpert.com. And it shows up in the very front page. And everybody who uses, and I will drop it here in the comments, the WAT code will receive 10% off. And that code is, I just created it this morning, WATSAVE 10, WAT Save 10. So the next boot camp starts on Wednesday. We talk about building relationships through social media, how you show up on your business profile, and how to grow. But you know what? We do so much more there too. It's jam-packed 5-week boot camp. I'd love to see you guys there.